Hey guys, it's Morgan. Welcome back to another weekly Shlog here at Highland Cycles, my little dirt bike located in Montrose, Colorado, what I believe to be the heart of all the best dirt biking in the Western United States. Yeah, this is our little weekly shop vlog where I show you all kinds of cool dirt bike stuff. We make fun of Zach. We throw things at Zach on occasion. Hopefully that's going to happen more this week. And we have a ton of fun. If that sounds like fun, stick with us for this video, and at the end, maybe consider giving us a thumbs up and a subscribe. If not, that's cool. Here we go. All right, guys, so first on the lift is this 690 KTM. This is the same one we did the SAS block off from Rottweiler and the tubeless, which is holding up. And Chad Myers is calling. 1 second. This is Morgan. What's happening? Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know if they didn't replace what they needed to replace or what, but yeah, it's not yeah, it's not good. No, I didn't take it. I don't have time to do that right now. No, I didn't take anything apart. It just, you know, it rotates almost like exactly 359 degrees because it's out of time, and so one of the valves is touching the piston when it comes around. So, and I told Aiden it could be, you know, it could be it could be bent. It's probably bent. I mean, usually when that happens and it stops the bike, that's, you know, it bends a valve at the same time. I mean, it's rare that it doesn't bend the valve. Yeah, it's a bummer. And like I said, the only thing that they could have maybe not done correctly was maybe not put a new cam chain in it, or maybe not put a new tensioner in it. Those are the only two things that they could have. Yeah, I mean, it could be, if it's not a new chain, then that's what caused it. Then the only other thing is it could have, I mean, theoretically nothing, because I mean, he's got plenty of rides on it since then, right? So yeah, so I mean, it's like, it wasn't like it was put together wrong. Like it was together right, because if they had effed something up on like install, it would have happened immediately. It's definitely in a race. So, but so the only other thing that could have caused it, and Aiden didn't seem to think that the kid had done anything, was the kid that riding it. Like the only other thing that can cause a thing like that, if everything's fresh, right? Like the cam chain's fresh, everything's fresh, is if the kid were to like jump a jump, because I know they were on the track when it died. So like if he jumped a jump and accidentally shifted down in the air, like just hit, you know, by accident, just clicked first or something like that, and then landed with it, like, you know, thinking that he's going to be on the gas and like go, but landed with it down a gear, like a gear too low, and then that can cause the motor to over rev, because you can't, like with your wrist, you can't over rev it because it's got a rev limiter, you know. So if you're twisting it, you can't, I mean, you shouldn't do that, but like too often, but like computer will keep you from over revving it that way. But if you land in the wrong gear, and the bike mechanically can over rev, so that could have happened too. But Aiden said it didn't, so I mean, you know, I wasn't there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, if it was fresh, if everything was fresh, then I don't know. I mean, it would have had to have been the kid doing, I don't know, something. But if he didn't put a cam chain in it, then that's the problem. I mean, I don't know. Until you take it apart, who knows, right? The other thing, I don't think that would happen. I mean, the other thing is if the valves weren't quite tight or something, I don't know, like not tight, but like the keep. No, that'd be fine. I mean, that should be fine. I don't know. Until you take it apart, it's hard to say. Yeah, no worries. I get it. No, I get it. No worries, dude. I mean, it happens. You betcha. Take care. All right, so you guys heard one side of that conversation. Just had a friend of ours come in. His bike skipped time, and you probably heard it. Anyway, the valve is touching the piston, and he had another shop do the work, and that was the dad, and he's pretty upset about what's going on. He feels bad, and I don't know. I don't know if it was anything that the other guys did. I'm not. Yeah, there's no way of knowing until we take it apart. But either way, he's not racing that bike this weekend, and that's a bummer. But first on the list is this 690. I just want to show you guys. First of all, tubeless is holding up well. Doesn't have a ton of hours on it, but it's doing well. He's super happy with it. With that sealant in there. Now we were installing a Mako 360, which I love very much. Also lower bars. It had these big crazy risers on it with the steering stabilizer, and he just doesn't like the big tall bars. He wants to feel like he can get over the front of the bike better, but he also wants the damping of the Mako 360. So we did that, and the Mako does raise it up when you put the steering stabilizer onto there, but he went with some nice low bars. But really the reason I'm showing you this, because I already did all that, is I want to show you guys what the throttle-by-wire looks like from KTM. Because I had some lock-ons that I was going to install, and I forgot that these things are throttle-by-wire, and the lock-on grips don't have that. But this is actually kind of cool to see, because I don't know, a lot of people don't know how this works. So when you hear someone talk about fly-by-wire, throttle-by-wire, this is what they're talking about. There are no cables going from this to the throttle body. Obviously, it's a fuel-injected bike. But there's no cables going to the throttle body like they're on like my new dirt bike or most fuel-injected bikes, or even, I go back to carburetors that have cables. So this is kind of cool. It's also a little bit scary because this is got a resistor basically in here, or a rheostat. I'm not sure exactly how it works, as far as electronically, but let me see if I can hold this. This is obviously held in place. You go like that, and it's just turning a thing in here, and they got a spring in here to create resistance so it feels like a normal throttle. But inside here is either a circuit board or like a rheostat, kind of like on a dimmer on a light switch. I'm not sure, but it changes voltage as you twist, which then goes through this wire down to the throttle body and then operates a servo on the throttle body to then open it up. So it's pretty cool. That's how lots of things work nowadays, how your car works. Your car doesn't have cables going to the brake or gas pedal anymore. My kid's does, because he drives a 74 Dodge Power Wagon, but mine doesn't in the van. So at least I don't think it, I guess I don't know. I don't think it does. So yeah, anyway, that's a pretty cool system. The scary part is hopefully something doesn't fail in there and then cause the thing to either go wide open when you don't expect it or not open when you want it to. But they seem to be pretty good, pretty reliable. So I'm just an old dinosaur who is allergic to change sometimes. But anyway, thing's almost done. Because I couldn't get the lock-on style for this side, we're getting a normal set of those Rogue grips. And then we're going to put that on this side and be good to go. So on to the next job. All right, guys, next on the lift is this 350 EXCF. I think it was on a Shlog past. Can't remember, honestly, if I put this on or not. We do lots of videos here on cycles, so I can't always remember. But quick recap if I didn't, or you don't remember, or you weren't here anyway. Bike was having a problem. Wouldn't run very well. Would die, all kinds of things. He took it to a shop. The shop started throwing parts at it. Put a fuel pump in it, OEM fuel pump in it. Spark plug, whatever. Ended up putting an ECU in it, a Vortex ECU in it, still not solving the problem. And I was like, that's okay, that seems crazy. I mean, a lot of problems exist because the fuel pumps on these, I've seen it a lot where they just get clogged up or they quit working. It's an older bike, 13, 14, something like that. So that's normal, but I have also been around these enough and dealt with weird problems enough. I've seen other things cause problems. So when I got it, I fired it up and it ran perfectly. That's the first sign that it's not fuel related. Because if the fuel system has started to fail, it usually won't run well right off the bat. Like it's kind of gone that way and then it's done. It just slowly gets worse. So it ran great. I think, I can't remember if I mentioned, I found this switch on the headlight. I kept switching that, and I thought that was causing it, but the switch is not hooked up to anything, so it was just all in my mind. But I did get it to fail and do some weird stuff. So I went to what my first thought was originally, because I wanted to check everything else first, that the stator was a problem. Now the stator itself, the thing that just generates power for the battery, seems to be fine. It seems to be charging the battery, everything's working fine, all that, and that's normal. But these bikes, the way they work, they have everything runs off the battery for the ignition, the fuel pump, and all that stuff. The stator just charges the battery, but the ignition timing is based on the pulsar coil. And the pulsar coil is actually a separate part from the stator, which always is. But on this, you can't really buy it separately from KTM, but you can buy it separately from other people because they fail so frequently. I checked the resistance on it when it was cold. It'd run a little bit, but it was colder. It wasn't fully up to temp. It's about 100 ohms. Ran around, and I actually couldn't get it to fail again, which is weird. But I got it nice and hot, and it jumped up to like 125, 130, which is like a 20%, 30% change, which is definitely out of spec. I mean, it's right on the edge, but it's definitely not awesome. And I wasn't able to get it to fail, to check it when it was failed, but I feel really confident that it's the pulsar coil. So we got a pulsar coil from KTM. We got the whole thing, the stator and everything, and we're going to replace that and then go ride around on this thing extensively and make sure it's all good. All right, guys, next on the lift is an XR650L. This is a newer one, a 19, I believe. They're the same as the old ones, which is awesome. I love that about it. It doesn't start. Also, I guess the last time it didn't run that great on top. And we are going to start with removing a bunch of crap that you don't need on a dirt bike or even a street bike or any kind of thing at all. All this junk is out of here. This is all emissions crap. This is a charcoal canister, evaporative charcoal canister. So if you fell over, it would fill this and not go on the ground and then evaporate out. I don't know why that is better than it going straight onto the ground and then evaporating. It still ends up in the atmosphere. I guess maybe it would kill the plants right there where it hit the ground. But anyway, and then this is air injection system, basically. And what it does is it's stupid. And when you roll off the gas, I believe, or maybe it's when you're, I don't know. I really don't even understand all of it. But it basically dumps raw air into the exhaust track through here to help burn unburnt fuel. Again, not sure why that's better than it just evaporating, going out. I don't know. Doesn't make much sense, but that's all coming off. And then we'll clean the carburetor, and then we'll get this thing running. It's just craziness, like all this crap the government does to make it 50 state legal. Thank you, California. But you can see here it's been sitting way too long. It's got gummed up nastiness on there, so we might have to rebuild that too. But it's a really nice bike. So Rory Main is who owns this. He's a very good friend. But Rory, bad on you for not riding your motorcycle enough. He's even got a stabilizer, cool guy bars, better triple clamp, all kinds of stuff. Really sweet motorcycle. I like these things a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work getting all this stuff off, and we will check in when we get to something cool. All right, we got the carburetor off. It really smells bad, and it's got a green film on lots of things. So we're going to take it apart. I got the ultrasonic heating up, and gonna get this thing all apart and ready to go into the ultrasonic because I'm sure it needs lots of love. One of the things you guys want to do when you're doing this is make sure you get all these hoses off. It wouldn't hurt to have them on there, but I've actually had them trap water, and then you put it back on and you end up with water in the gas, and so it's just easier to get them out of the way, take everything apart. All right, guys, so I got the carburetor all clean. I didn't dive deep into that, honestly. I kind of just got busy cleaning the carburetor. The carburetor wasn't anything special as far as dirtiness. It just had some gummed up gas in it, no big deal. But look at this. We deleted a lot of the stuff on there. there it all is. Got all that junk off there. Charcoal canister, air injection system, another sort of thing, PCV valve. All of that is off now. And let me show you what we got. So the one thing I didn't, like a lot of times I'll take these are the actual air injection, where the air dumps into the exhaust tract to try to burn the unburnt fuel to save the planet and save the whales. A lot of times I'll take these off, cut them, and I'll like drill and tap a hole and then put a bolt in there to kind of clean it up. But this style, they're really hard to do that. And I don't have a plate to go on here. I'm not sure you can buy one. Someone probably makes one. What I did instead was I left them there and I took one of their hoses that was on there and I linked them together so that's just blocked off. It's not as clean as doing something else, but it also means that if for some wild reason you wanted to put it all back on there, it would be really easy to do. Then the petcock actually not leaking, so that's good. I've got everything else blocked off. I can't really show you all of that, but all of the little holes that were leading to the PCV valve and all these things, I've got them all blocked off with screws in the hoses. So it's all ready to rock and roll, and the bike runs great. I took it out, ran down the road, just runs really, really good like it's supposed to. So now I'm doing a full service on it. Got the oil changed already, and I got to lube the chain, check the spokes, check all the nuts and bolts on the chassis. Air filter is good, and then we'll get it back to the customer, and he can go ride finally. And I'm gonna give him a really hard time for not riding it more. Yeah, so there we go, guys. This is unnecessary and absolutely superfluous. Take it off your bike if you have it. Your bike will be happier, it'll run better, and last longer. All right, next on the lift is this 450 SXF. Cautionary tale here, folks. Every now and then, you really need to check the bolts on your sprocket, or you end up with this. Yeah, it's not awesome. This is actually at least the second time this gentleman has had this happen. He just doesn't check things ever. And yeah, then it ends up like this. So I think he got lucky, and I think the hub is going to be okay. We're going to take it off, obviously, and take a real close look at it, make sure nothing's cracked. But I think we're going to be okay. It's just... oh, it's such a preventable thing. So, yeah, just... And let me explain what's going on here. So here's the deal. First of all, you should lock tight, or excuse me, you should thread lock with Stuck Nuts. This is not sponsored by Stuck Nuts, but use a Stuck Nuts thread locker on your sprocket bolts, your rotor bolts, anything that is like real important to keep tight, which is most things on a bike. I mean, plastic, things like that, you can get away with it. Yeah, just use some Stuck Nuts thread locker and do that. I will put a link in the description below on how to buy some. We're boycotting Loctite because they try to close trails up around the Rico area. Like, literally, it's a thing. So you should use that. That helps. But the other thing is you're dealing with an aluminum hub and sometimes an aluminum sprocket. This is an aluminum inner part of the sprocket. I run the steel ones from DDC Racing. So they're steel. That's helpful. But this is aluminum, and when you tighten it down, torque it down, it squishes this aluminum. And over time and vibration, whatever, this aluminum will somewhat give way and let it get loose. If you have a thread locker on there, then you're still going to be okay. It shouldn't come all the way loose, but it might get rattly and you need to tighten it up. If you don't, then they'll come apart and do this. So it's a thing. Just please check your sprocket bolts every now and then. Let's get this thing off and take a good look at it, make sure it's okay. All right, guys, got her apart. Zach is struggling. Look at him. He's trying to figure out what that goes to. Anybody knows wins a free high five and fist bump. Definitely a KTM. It's a 50 millimeter. We're trying to figure out what that fits. We have it, and that's nice. So let's show you this. You can see that the holes, definitely some of them, like that one's more round than that one. It's not awesome. This is this gentleman's spare bike, so we are just going to put it together. But what we're going to do, so here's how we're going to solve the problem of those being a little bit oval. Because if we look at here, these are a little bit, oh, that one's oval, that one's not, that, yeah. So we are not going to put an ovaled sprocket on. We're going to put a brand new steel sprocket on. And so those holes are nice and round. That's good. What we're going to do is we're going to get brand new bolts because they're gone. They're somewhere out in the woods. And we're going to drop brand new bolts in with lots of stuck nuts thread locker on it, and really tighten them down nice and tight with a steel sprocket and brand new bolts. I think we should be good. And if I can convince this gentleman to just please check his bolts every now and then, we should be good to go. Also, like I said, this is his spare bike. He's got a race bike that he rides most of the time, and this thing kind of just sits around for friends or whatever. So I think if he keeps an eye on it, it should be safe and just fine. I'm sure someone on here, you know, cue the perfect mechanic. Oh, you can't do that because he's gonna die riding. Whatever, he'll be just fine. Enough of these holes are still round that I think it's going to hold it in place just fine. Again, it's a dirt bike, not a street bike, and the thing moves all over. The swing arms bouncing up and down crazy, chains slapping side to side. A little bit of movement, you know, this not being perfectly centered is going to be just fine. All right, guys, real quick, I want to show you what we're doing here for bolts. So we're using the Bolt brand sprocket bolts. They've already got Loctite, they already have a thread locker on them, and then they also come with locking nuts. So kind of like a belt and suspender setup. I really like these. It's $12 for the set. So I'm a big fan. A lot of people don't put brand new bolts on when they change sprockets, and I don't either. If everything is perfect, I will reuse sprocket bolts. I just put more thread locker on them. But obviously in this situation, they're gone, so I can't reuse them. But if you've had any kind of failure, you just want to start fresh. All right, guys, so next on the lift is my bike, because a little bit of mail time here. We got ourselves that sexy new pipe from Motos in Turkey. Really excited about that. It's stainless steel. It's their torque pipe, so it should give good low end power and hopefully be a little bit stronger. I am a little concerned that it might be too strong. It's the whole reason I don't run pipe guards, is I don't want to be too rigid and cause problems if I hit things with other things down the line. But I don't think it will be. It's, like I said, it should be strong, but it's pretty thin, so it shouldn't be overly rigid. So I'm going to film a separate video installing it, checking the clearance and all that good stuff. But make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because I'm going to be installing and testing. I'm going to run that thing for the Silver King's Hard Enduro. So should beat the crap out of it right out of the box. So yeah, I'm going to get that thing on. I will bring you back in and just show you what it looks like on the bike, because it's going to be sexy. And then we'll get on to the next job. All right, guys, got that mounted up. And you got to admit, that is just so pretty. Oh my gosh, is that awesome. Super excited about trying that thing out, and pretty sure I'm going to bend it instantly. It's a bummer, but things happen. Pipes are like little airbags for the rest of your bike. Last job for the week, guys, is this YZ250. This is owned by my kid's good friend, the kid that actually knocked Ewan over in the last race when he borrowed our KDX. Bought himself a sweet YZ250, but it has been sitting for a while, and the carburetor is leaking every now and then. It actually runs really good, so I think the jets are clear. I think there's just maybe something hung up in the needle and seat. So I'm going to do a quick carb clean on this because I'm not charging him because he's my kid's friend, and I want him to have some money to go racing and pay his own entry fees. So I'll show you how I do this. And again, this is not what we do when we charge people lots of money for a carburetor clean, because we do charge quite a bit to clean a carburetor the right way, because to take it all the way off, take it all the way apart, put it through the ultrasonic and all the good stuff, it takes quite a while. This does not. What I do is change out this fuel line. It is hard as a rock. It definitely might be what's in the needle and seat, because I've seen this fuel line. Although this is good stuff, this isn't the cheap black stuff, but it's old enough that I don't know that it matters. It's just all right, guys. So this actually might not work on this bike with this tank and everything. I don't think I can spin that carburetor far enough, so we're gonna do it the right way. I was just checking it out, but all right. No, I'm gonna leave everything hooked up. It's all cable, wires, all that stuff, and blast this off with brake cleaner because it's definitely yuck. And then take that flow ball off and see if we can find anything. All right, guys, ran the flow ball through the ultrasonic, got it nice and clean. The rest of the carburetor looks awesome. Gonna reinstall everything, put the thing back together, check, make sure it doesn't leak, and then we're going racing. All right, guys, so we got tank back on. I put a fuel filter in here because I like those. I like having a fuel filter if it's possible. I like to run one. Let's turn this thing on. See if it leaks. Hopefully it doesn't. I don't think it's going to. There we go. It's all full. No gassy, leaky. So, boom, we're ready to go. Old Mace, there you go, buddy. Gonna button this thing up, shove it in my van, and we are going racing. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this week's Shlog. It means a lot to me that you stuck around this long. Punk Rock Club, I love you more than I love everybody else. Definitely I love you more than I love Zach, because he's a horrible human. Guys, have an awesome day. Get out, spread the gospel with two wheels. And as always, I hope that what we're doing here is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!